Throw it up. Throw it up. So, real quick, because I know everybody's busy right now, but I wanted to break something down. There was a tweet that went viral from Governor Kate Brown out in Oregon, right? She's an Oregon governor. And here's what she said. We've come to an agreement with the federal government. They've agreed to withdraw federal officers from Portland. She claims they have acted as an occupying force, false, unless she's declaring that Oregon is a separate country. And they've brought violence, also false. They've ended violence. Starting tomorrow, this is Antifa propaganda. Starting tomorrow, all Customs and Border Protection and ICE officers will leave downtown Portland. Does that sound right to you? Well, a little less than an hour later, Chad Wolf responded with his own tweet. As I told the governor yesterday, federal law enforcement will remain in Portland until the violent activity towards our federal facilities ends. We are not removing any law enforcement while our facilities and law enforcement remain under attack. Chad Wolf. And so I said to Twitter support that clearly the federal government has an official statement here that's at odds, right, with what the governor said. So the governor, her statement contradicts what federal officials have stated. And doesn't Twitter now label that as misinformation? Because Twitter told us before that they would censor anything that was misinformation that was contradicting authoritative federal sources. Remember, that was their new policy. So if that's the new policy, if that's the new standard, then why and when will Twitter take action against Governor Kate Brown's misinformation that federal agents, she wrote, starting tomorrow, all Customs and Border Protection and ICE officers will leave downtown Portland. She stated that, right? And if you actually know how any of this stuff works, if you actually understand how the federal government works a little bit, you would actually know that CBP and ICE are not going to leave Portland because they work out of federal center, right? What they're talking about is they aren't even talking about all officers. You can't have all federal officers leave because they have ICE offices and CBP offices in every major city. Okay, there are always federal officers there. We're talking about the augmentation of security for federal protective services and the deployment of BORTAC as well as additional U.S. Marshals. Okay, so there are always federal. This is so weird. This is just so weird because you have to break down all of her lies and all of her misinformation because there are always federal. Like, does anybody actually think that there aren't federal agents in every major city? Seriously, think about it. Just take the situation aside. Is there anybody out there within the sound of my voice who doesn't think or doesn't understand that there are federal officers at every federal building? Like, that's who works there. That's why they have federal buildings. That's where they are, right? So isn't that a little odd that she would say, like, her own statement? I haven't spoken to my contacts about this agreement yet. Well, actually I have now, but I haven't since when I first saw the tweet. But just reading the tweet, the very first time I saw the governor's tweet, I said, how can all officers and agents leave downtown Portland? That's their federal building. Is she saying they're shutting down the federal building? No, they're not going to do that. Is she saying that the federal government is going to relinquish sovereignty over Oregon? I tweeted, I was having a little fun on Twitter earlier today, and I was tweeting that Oregon if Oregon wants to go and continue to act this way as if federal laws don't apply to them, then the statehood of Oregon should, I said the statehood of Oregon should be revoked and they should be reverted back to the Oregon Territory, right? For those, my fellow centennials out there, you'll remember the game Oregon Trail, right? That was Oregon Territory. It wasn't Oregon State. They should go back to Oregon Territory. And then at such point as when they have new governance and new authorities that want to comply with federal law, they can reapply for their statehood at that point. And so I tweeted that kind of provocatively. And then the governor, just a couple hours after I tweeted that, she said that the federal government is occupying Portland. And think about that. An occupying force, that means a foreign government, right? A foreign military. So occupiers are a foreign military. That's when as a military officer, right? That's what a foreign occupation means. An occupation means a foreign military has taken over your territory. So if she's referring to the federal government as a foreign force that's taken over her territory, what exactly does she think her job is? What exactly does she define Oregon as? Are they one of the 50 states of the Republic of the United States? Or are they something else? Because I don't recall Oregon voting for secession, but certainly sounds seditious, what she's saying. It certainly sounds like secessionist talk. It sounds like something you'd hear from the Confederacy, right? Right? It doesn't sound like someone who, it doesn't sound like someone who's operating as if she's within the function and the jurisdiction of the framework of our Constitution and the jurisdiction of federal law under the United States Republic, which of course she is, right? Obviously, her whole state is, right? And this is part of this actually is a key tenet of Antifa propaganda, talking about how they brought violence as an occupying force. This idea that, and of course, if you've heard me since 2016, I've been exposing the Antifa group, the violent insurrectionist anti-government group. 2016, I was going in, infiltrating their meetings here in Washington, D.C. Prior to the inaugural riots of 2017, J20, they called it Disrupt J20. They attacked the Deplorable. I was one of the main organizers of the Deplorable. They attacked that. Of course, covered live. You guys can go back and watch all those old periscopes of when I was there at the J20 riots on Inauguration Day. And of course, we've seen this group expand beyond that. So for her to start